Escape from New York was released in 1981, and this is written by John Carpenter and Nick Castle and directed by John Carpenter. This stars a little bit younger Kurt Russell in a very iconic role. And listen, John Carpenter can do a lot. He has one hell of a filmography. If you go through all his stuff, it's not just Halloween, okay? He's famous for Halloween. He's famous for like creating the slasher, but this guy can do so much. This guy can do espionage. He can do action, like B movie action, like no tomorrow. Best like cop thrillers kind of thing, like cop thriller action, and dystopian post apocalyptic. Man, dystopian post apocalyptic, which you get in this one, and like dystopian future kind of thing. At least the future of 1981. But for anybody who hasn't seen this, man, this movie has some great atmosphere in it. This is the Scream Factory Steelbook release. Looks very, very nice. I like these. I like the way they do the Steelbooks, where you open them up and it makes one picture. And the rules are simple. Once you go in, you do not come out. Such good lines and such iconic moments in it. I actually hadn't seen this film for a while. Like I watched it for the first time when I bought it blindly because I didn't like grow up with this or anything. I didn't grow up with a lot of movies, to be honest. Strict and very strict parents. But regardless, I can't say enough good things about John Carpenter. I mean, Halloween is, I'm going to be honest, it's not my favorite John Carpenter film. That would have to go to The Fog. And I'll probably review The Fog as well. But the guy has just a slew of different styles of film, and that's what I really liked about him. But anyways, the film takes place in it's 1997, which is the present day that everything happens in the film. So the future of 1981 being in 1997. In 1988, the crime rate raised to like 400, and they turn all of Manhattan into a prison, which is a brilliant idea. So you have this whole island of Manhattan that's completely gated off and has a massive wall around it, and all prisoners basically go in there. And there's no guards in there. They basically turn it into a city of their own. There's like an underground in there. There's almost like a mafia in there. It's like there's gang members that they have their own lifestyles, their own kind of units and suburbs and ghettos and whatever, high class, low class. It's really, really interesting. But this film also, I will have to mention, it doesn't exactly date very well into the 21st century because a major plot point involves a plane carrying the president flying into the city of New York. So, a little touchy, to say the least. But yeah, it's about basically the president is going to Halford, Connecticut to make like a peace offering speech because there's a lot of tension going on with China and the Soviet Union. And on his way in Air Force One, the plane is it's basically hijacked by like these not exactly terrorists, but like freedom fighters. Like it's these people who basically hate the government, and they hijack the plane, and then they want to kill the president before he can make this peace offering. But the president escapes in a pod, which the pod is extremely cheesy looking. It's hilarious. It's like almost Austin Powers-ish. It's this red egg pod, and he gets in it, and it's totally B-movie style. And he does escape and survive before the plane goes down. But he's now stuck in Manhattan, which is a complete prison, and it's filled with psychopaths and prisoners and maniacs, basically, which the true maniacs, they call them crazies. And these guys are not so over the top, but also not so grounded. They have this middle area. You can tell they're very post-apocalyptic. They're very like, they're weird looking. They're brutal and ruthless, and they are complete rebels. They don't follow any rules, but they're not like goofy level. Like some of them are. There is one character named Romero, who's a complete nut job. But I'll get into them and I'll get into all of them. Regardless, there's this character, which is our lead, played by Kurt Russell, named Snake Plissken. And he basically was special ops, former special ops. Very, like, how do you call it? Very tormented, very, very sick of everything guy. Like, doesn't want to deal with shit anymore. Very burnt. Very has a dark past, especially when it comes to it came to his job. But basically, he's the only one to call. He's the only one that the police force has to call. Like all these movies go, because there's nobody else to hire, so they have to go for Snake Plissken. And he's badass. He's got his huge mullet, got this eye patch. For anybody who's played the Metal Gear games, Snake in the Metal Gear Solid games was completely inspired by this character. And I grew up with the Metal Gear Solid games, so I'd never seen this film, but it was always mentioned that Snake Plissken inspired Snake in the Metal Gear Solid video games. So if you know one or the other, that's where Snake Plissken comes from. And in the games, he's mentioned like crazy, and he basically looks like the Snake in this movie. But anyway, so he's hired to go rescue the president. They put him in there. He flies in on a glider, lands right on top of the World Trade Center. It's a really, really cool landing, actually. I like how he lands. And I like how I like seeing the trade centers in older films. Home Alone 2 being one of them, where Macaulay Culkin is on top of one of the towers looking at the city through binoculars. Really beautiful. But yeah, there's this great landing on the Trade Center, and then Snake Plissken is in the broken down city, which basically looks like New York looked all the time in the 80s. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry to offend the New Yorkers, but yeah, it's gritty, grimy. For anybody who's seen Basket Case, it looks like that, except a lot more on fire kind of thing. And everything's grimy. And the sets are really, really good. It's kind of comic book feeling. Dystopian, yes, and very, like, I'm not going to say Mad Max, even though Mad Max is like more of that dystopian post-apocalyptic look as well. But I just really, really like the sets in this anyway. I forgot to mention too that Snake Plissken is recently convicted of stealing from the federal government or something like that, and he's offered a pardon from the government if he completes this mission. And they actually inject him with these little microscopic, like, time bombs kind of thing, where he has 22 hours to complete the mission. Otherwise, he's gonna, like, it's gonna, like, basically blow up his arteries and he's just gonna collapse pretty much, which is awful and totally anxiety inducing for sure. But yeah, he has to sweat his ass off while he tries to go find the president through a tracking device that again looks very B-movie cheesy 80s. Really, really cool. He runs into this one guy in the underground, and he thinks he found the president, but basically the Duke, which they call him, which is the leader of this whole, the leader of the crazies basically in the underground is the Duke. He took the president's bracelet and put it on some random person and send them off to the sewers. And there's also this hilarious cabbie who just goes by Cabbie. I really like this guy because he's the talkative cabbie that you see all the time. He has Molotov cocktails that he like throws out of his cab at the crazies, and he's assisting Snake along his way while he's trying to find the president through this complete post-apocalyptic city. I like there's a scene with a theater, and there's an actual show going on in the theater. So I like how this island is still running, but it's really ghetto and like sleazy looking. Like I said, like when it comes to the sets and when it comes to the atmosphere, I really, really liked how they portrayed this environment, because I haven't really seen it done like this in any movie ever. So it's really, really interesting. There's a great scene on a bridge where there's a car chase, and again, the Duke's car, and the Duke looks cool too. He has these like huge earrings. He's this big bulking black guy, and he drives this pimp mobile basically. And I'm not kidding. On the headlights of the pimp mobile, there's chandeliers, and they actually work. So his headlights are chandeliers, and they have like 6 lights on each one. It's so funny looking. It's hilarious, and it's a really cool bridge scene, very 80s, very B movie. There's a scene where the cabbie, driven by cabbie, is it blows up and it literally splits in half, like right down the middle, right down the center. It just splits in half, and it's the funniest looking cab explosion I think I've ever seen. It's so cheesy, but it's so hilarious at the same time. And even with the whole corniness of it and the non logistics of it, it's still hilarious and enjoyable, and I just love it. There's a point in the movie where Snake is basically forced to have like a gladiator battle with this guy named Slag, and Slag again is this massive guy. He's got this huge beard, and he's basically undefeated. And I like, for whatever reason, they paint a snake on Snake Plissken's belly, like swirling up, like as if it's looking like as if it's coming out of his like boxers or whatever, and obviously suggesting that, and it's really random. It came out of nowhere, but it's just it's a little touch that they added into the movie that adds for more laughs. But man, like there's so much going on in this film, action wise, that almost every scene is iconic. There's a battle on top of the Trade Center again, when they're trying to make the escape from New York, except the glider that Snake came in on gets pushed off the building by the crazies. So they have to make their way down again and find some other way out of the city. They make it to the surrounding barricade wall and try to get up that way as the Duke starts chasing them down. This is after the bridge chase, and the president goes up first over the wall, and then there's this shootout with the Duke trying to hit Snake and trying to hit the president on top, and the president ends up taking a rifle and just gunning down the Duke like no tomorrow and saying, "Yeah, you're the grade A Duke of the city. Yeah, you are." As he's shooting him down, like putting like 100 bullets into him. He's just like, "Yeah, who's the grade A now?" And this is funny because it's Donald Pleasance, who played Michael Myers' psychiatrist in Halloween. And this guy's a legend already, so just seeing him gun down the Duke and deliver those lines is it's priceless. It's one of those priceless points of Escape from New York and B movie action cinema history, basically. So the president goes to safety, and then basically the movie ends where immediately he's going to do another speech again. So he basically gets rescued, and then he's automatically getting ready to do a speech in like 3 minutes. People are shaving him. Like literally, he just got rescued like probably half an hour ago, and they're already expecting him to deliver this speech on nuclear fusion or something like that, which is what he was sent to do. But he's sitting on this chair, and they're like shaving him. He's gonna be on the air in like 2.5 minutes, and he sees Snake, and he's like, "Snake, thank you so much. I'll give you whatever you want." And Snake's like, "Just a minute of your time. You know how many people died for you to be rescued, including myself? I just wanted to know how you feel about that." And then the president is like, "Well, everybody appreciates their sacrifice for the good of humanity." And you can tell in his face that he doesn't mean shit. Like he's just like delivering the lines, and he doesn't mean a fucking thing. Like he's so soulless. And this is where we get to see like the sliminess of the president. Like we liked him up to then, and we felt bad, and we wanted him to live because we all like Donald Pleasance for one, and two, he never showed any you know bad side to him. But then we see him so he completely shows what it's like to be a slimy political bastard, and he shows it just in those like 30 seconds to 1 minute, and then that's where Snake just looks at him so disgusted, and he walks away, and then the president goes to deliver his speech, and he has a tape that had pre-recorded information on this nuclear fusion stuff, which was going to be his peace offering, and he goes to play it, and it's supposed to be this nuclear fusion information, but it ends up being this really like goofy polka song. which Snake like switched up the tapes, and then Snake actually has the real tape with the fusion information and stuff like that. He just starts tearing off the tape and just throws it away, and the movie fades to black from there. But it's a really good like fuck you statement to like corruption and how you know, everything when it comes to, I'm not going to talk about politics too much, but when everything comes to like that subject matter, it's so scripted and robotic and meaningless. Like there's no compassion for anything or anyone. And you know, this is not a film that is supposed to deliver in message too much. It's just like basically a popcorn movie, and it came out in July of 1981. So perfect timing for a summer blockbuster, if it was a summer blockbuster. But I really love Kurt Russell's performance in it. He does amazing. Isaac Hayes plays the Duke, and like I said, he's monstrous. He's very badass looking. I don't recall him from any other film, so I'll have to look him up. But it's so much fun. It's a really iconic. I'd say just above B movie level action movie from the early '80s. So you can't go wrong with it. You know, best I've ever seen, probably not. It's not perfect or anything, but it's great, I would say. 4 stars easily. And definitely one that has some rewatch value and really great characters, including Romero, like I said. He's this really skinny. When I say spiky haired, I mean like spiky haired, like we're talking Goku style. Like this guy has the spikiest hair, and he's just like he's small and like skinny and short, and he has this weird cackle, and he's very flamboyant. He's always walking and like he'll do stupid random shit. Like he's walking and he'll go like this, and he'll just point and he'll start walking like it's so fucking weird. This guy is so weird. I don't know if he came in, the actor, I mean, and was like started improvising, or if it was actually like written that way by John Carpenter. I have no idea, but for anybody who's seen Escape from New York, you know who I'm talking about. It's bizarre, this guy. But anyways, I don't want to keep this going too long. Go watch Escape from New York if you haven't, because it's a real treat if you like action B movies that are very '80s. Tom Atkins is in here. He's a legend of the '80s too, and you really can't go wrong with a film like this if it's your style. Anyway, so subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned and check out what's on the channel right now. And until next one, take care and cheers.